All right, so here we are with another unboxing out of my big pile of stuff that's slowly getting whittled away. This is another one I found at Ollie's, and this is Marvel Legends U.S. Agent. This is the comic book style one. I did the MCU one a while back. You might remember. And this one, this is the comic book one. He actually comes with a shield. So pretty excited about this. One of my favorite, maybe my favorite Captain America storyline in the comics was the one where uh, Captain America No More, where the Commission for Superhuman Activities basically tells Steve Rogers, hey, we own the Captain America costume, we own the shield, because the U.S. government created that stuff. So either you come and work for us, or you can give it back. And not wanting to forfeit his autonomy, he actually gave it back. Oh, hey, look, there's Anthony. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I've never heard it. I've only read it. I feel bad, but but hello, welcome. How you doing? So funny thing, he actually posted on my Facebook when he saw my Supergirl video. See, I'm reading it. Is it Gerardo? I don't know. I'm bad at names. But he saw my Supergirl video and he decided he wanted to buy one because of that. So you're welcome, McFarlane Toys, for selling you. I'm opening it up already. I haven't even looked at this package thoroughly. We need to look at the package first. So but yeah. So they replaced him with another Captain America, who turned out to be kind of a cuckoo whack job in the head, and but it was all like a big plan by the Red Skull to make Captain America look bad. So while Steve Rogers could not be Captain America, oh, I did pronounce it correctly. Good. While Steve Rogers could not be Captain America, he was wearing this costume and just calling himself the Captain. But this was a costume that was designed by Mark Gruenwald. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Uh, but but yeah, he designed this costume to be the costume that Steve wore while he could not be Captain America, and it was too good of a costume to waste. So once Steve went back to being Captain America, they gave John Walker the Captain America, or the black Captain costume, and called him U.S. Agent. So that's what happened with him. So he got to keep going on being a superhero, and he was an interesting character in his own right. Although he was not Captain America, because only Steve Rogers can really be Captain America. We know this. I mean, like even like Bucky or Falcon, who, like, I feel like they fill the role well. They carry on the legacy and whatnot. But Steve Rogers is, he's the guy. We know this. We know this. So, and I don't mean any disrespect to any other character that wore the Captain America costume, except for, we all know, John Walker was absolutely not the guy. But got a nice piece of artwork of him on the back, and let's see, you got a little bit of a bio where it says, originally appointed by the U.S. government to replace Steve Rogers as Captain America, U.S. agent John Walker must balance his moral compass against his duty to his country. And I guess he went through a lot of therapy because he was no longer quite so cuckoo bananas when he was U.S. agent. I think maybe also part of the pressure of trying to be Captain America kind of got to him. And at the end of the story, I liked it where he's the one who insists that Steve take the costume back. Because originally Steve's like, you know what, I don't really need it anymore. I'm able to do just as much good, not being Captain America. I don't really need it. And John was like, no, you need to take this back because they're just going to get somebody else to be Captain America, and he might even be worse than me. So convinced them to take it back. So good for him on that. So we have some cross-sell artwork on the back of other figures in this wave. And I did also manage to get at Ollie's I got Madam Hydra, or is it Viper? I don't remember if it's Madam Hydra. It says Madam Hydra. I couldn't remember what they labeled her on that. And I also managed to get this version of Iron Man, which just says Iron Man. But I think that was if it's not still the current outfit he's wearing in the comics, it's the one that he was wearing at the time, at least. I don't like that Thor costume. And I got Blue Marvel. So that means I've got 4 of these. I would still need to get Maria Hill and Speedball and Ugly Thor to complete the controller. So yeah, if I can find the rest of them at Ollie's or maybe even cheap on Amazon, I might do that. So now that I've been chomping at the bit to tear this thing open and getting way ahead of myself, let's go ahead and do that, shall we? All right, so take the little plastic tray out. And first, we're going to remove the shield. Now, the way I always thought this shield looked in the comics, the way I always interpreted it was a black stripe around the edge, not a blue stripe as they have one here. But I think it looks nice, so I'm not going to complain. It does look kind of like a bloodshot eyeball if you look at it a little less literally. And then we've got some alternate hands, which this would be like a good shield throwing hand. And a gripping hand. And then the hands that are on the figure are 2 fists. And then we have, which I dropped in the floor, the controller has an alternate hand, because here he has a fist hand. And then we have the controller's arm, which has some of his control discs molded into the hand. So that's pretty cool. All right. And last but not least, Mr. John Walker himself. And lest you think it was just a coincidence that he was named after the whiskey. I think it's whiskey, some kind of alcoholic beverage. When the Commission for Superhuman Activities gave him a new secret identity because his old one was compromised, they named him Jack Daniels. So yeah. maybe if he has to get another secret identity after that, he can be Bud Weiser or Mick Elob. or maybe no, we don't want to do a joke on Corona because people will think of the virus. So yeah, this is kind of like a standard Marvel Universe figure at this point. I think this is the same one they've used for Captain America at various points with the the repaints and such. So it's a pretty standard Marvel buck at this point. But it makes sense to repaint Captain America because, like I said, this was originally a Captain America costume and betrays a lot of Captain America influence to it. There's a lot of good symbolism to this costume too, because if we remember that this was Steve's original costume that he wore when he had to stop being Captain America, like the star symbol on the chest, it's a black star with like almost like you cut a hole out of the American flag, like he's the missing piece of it. And where did the star go when they cut it out? Onto his back, because they stabbed him in the back. Yeah, and this one actually has a little more symbolism to it. Because it has a little hole in the back. That's more of a coincidence, though, I think. So and of course it's a black costume because he's in mourning. So, but U.S. Agent, like he just has it because it's a cool costume. But the real reason the hole, of course, is in the back is so you can stick the shield on there when he's not using it. So there we go. And of course, the shield has a little clip on the back. Nice design. I always like how they do this. This is pretty standard for Captain America shields these days. It's got the peg and it's got the little wrist clip, so we can clip it to his wrist. And there we go. There's U.S. Agent with his shield. So not a lot to say about the sculpting of it. It's a pretty simple sculpt, nice head sculpt. I think they really captured the character. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Kieran Dwyer, I believe, was the artist that did most of that storyline. And he didn't do it at the beginning, but he did most of the chapters in that, and definitely did the last chapter. And he had a very distinct way of drawing John Walker's face, so it was you could tell that was not Steve Rogers underneath the mask. So he looked a little more well, Steve Rogers is like a classically handsome dude, and John Walker looked a little bit more sort of rough and tumble, as it were. So, and he's got that grumpy face. The chest flag needs to be angular on the left. It's not shaped like a door. That is correct, actually. I think that's the sort of thing like a lot of artists forget these days, is that, yeah, it was supposed to have like a little bit of an angle to it on the left hand side, so it really should come down a little more like this. Like I'd say probably about to this side of his belt loop, if that makes any sense. So, well, that side of his belt loop. I'm sorry, I'm mirrored. No, I'm going the right way. Yeah. So it would swoop down that way, and but like that's just they always forget about it. Was it on the other side? I was thinking it was on the opposite side of where his star was. But regardless, it's not supposed to be like a perfect rectangle. It's supposed to be kind of more slanted inward, and it was not symmetrical. So yeah, and I don't have any of my comics on hand to double check. And normally the thing I would check on is my phone that I'm using to film this with. So because some asshole stole my laptop. but yeah, so is that his right, or yeah, that's his left. This is his right. I forget which way it slopes down. I was thinking it was on the opposite side of where his star was, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with how this figure turned out. Like I said, it's pretty basic. It's mostly a repaint and reuse of Captain America parts, but it's got a new head. And but I mean, like, really, that's how you would do a U.S. Agent figure. The only thing I would like to have for this figure, which would have been nice, is, again, like I said, because this joint's kind of stuck, because I'm a big fan of that particular storyline, is it would have been cool to have a Steve Rogers head done in black, so you could swap them out and have Steve as the captain. But also, the first shield that Steve had as the captain was an adamantium shield that Tony Stark had made for him. So it would have been just like a plain silver shield. And he wound up having a falling out with Tony Stark because Armor Wars was going on around that time. And they had a big fight over it. And he wound up giving that shield back. And once he did that, T'Challa made him a vibranium shield, and that's the one that this is. So this is a pure vibranium shield, which fans who are only familiar with Captain America from the MCU would be like, isn't it supposed to be a vibranium shield? No, originally it was a one-of-a-kind alloy that was accidentally created by a scientist, and it was the only thing that they had. And it was an alloy, I think it was revealed at one point, of adamantium and vibranium, and it was just as indestructible as adamantium, and just as had all the same vibrational impact qualities of vibranium. So combination of the two. Of course, like in some versions, I think it's like depending on who tells it, adamantium was their attempt to recreate the Captain America shield, but it didn't quite work. So I guess it depends on who's telling the story. Uh, but yeah, in the comic book, it's a one of a kind metal. It's not just vibranium that they reused. But they don't have the rights, to, or at least at that time, did not have the rights to adamantium in the when they made First Avenger. So I guess they figured, well, we'll just say it's vibranium. It'll be simpler that way. So so yeah, that's the story of this shield. This shield is the one they made, the one that T'Challa made for Captain America, Steve Rogers, and it is pure vibranium. And John Walker wound up acquiring it. I guess when Steve changed back into his Captain America suit and took his original shield back, he probably just left these behind. Didn't really think much of it. He was probably just excited at that point. So yeah, that's the story of that. So happy to have this figure in my collection, representing one of my favorite Captain America stories, and a character that I enjoy, even though he's a complete jerk ass. But you know, sometimes that's the kind of character you want to read about. It's just fun to read about a character that's a jerk ass. I always say that him and Guy Gardner are kind of cut from the same cloth. So if you're a DC guy and you're only familiar with DC characters, and you're like, who's this John Walker U.S. agent dude that Alan's talking about right now? Yeah, he's kind of like the Marvel Guy Gardner, and Guy Gardner is kind of like the DC U.S. agent. So that's pretty much it for this episode, I think. Well, let's go over the articulation real quick, even though we've been over it before. So he's got like a ball joint here, and it's got its own joint at the neck, kind of a hinge right there. But the head can move in all kinds of interesting ways because of that. Arms rotate all the way around. Does not have a butterfly joint, no butterfly joint at all, because I guess Marvel's just given up on that. We got an ab crunch. Does the waist does not turn? There's no articulation. No, there is articulation at the waist. It's just stuck. So I'll see if I can get that unstuck later. But there is a joint there. There is a joint there. Legs can kick up about so far. Got a bicep swivel. Arms can rotate all the way around at the shoulder. You move up about that far. Move down about that far. Got double jointed elbows. They work okay. Not the best double jointed elbows I've ever seen, but not the worst. Certainly not the worst. Got a hinge right there. Wrist rotates all the way around. Good articulation at the wrist. Can't really do the splits that well. So not a whole lot to brag about there. He's a little too roided out, I guess. Excellent comparison. Thank you. You can rotate the thigh. Got double jointed knees. Works about that well. Got a boot cut, so that's nice. And the cool rocker ankles. So pretty standard Marvel Legends articulation. I'm starting to think maybe this isn't the body that I was thinking they used at first, because like I think that one had I remember that one having a butterfly joint. So I'm gonna have to dig it out of storage and compare later. So because now I don't know for certain. Now I'm questioning my own memory. Did you know that when you remember something, you're not actually remembering that thing, you're remembering the last time you remembered it? Yeah. So yeah, now I think I've said everything I need to say about U.S. Agent. So good figure. I definitely recommend it. If you've got an Ollie's nearby you, check to see if you can find him at Ollie's. And if you can't, look and see if you can find him for a decent price on Amazon, because he's definitely worth picking up as far as the Marvel Legends figures go. I think that this is one that like you're not going to want to miss. So that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. And all that fun YouTube stuff. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this figure and what you think about the character of U.S. Agent. Let me know what you think about the character of Steve Rogers, because he originally wore this costume in that storyline. Let me know what you think about that storyline. Just leave some kind of comment telling me something. you know, if you want to catch these lives, just like Anthony did, you can click the little bell, and that will warn you when I go live. Oh, a little bit of thunder there. Maybe the power might go out. So yeah, I probably better cut this short. But that'll warn you when I go live, and you can participate in the chat. I don't actually do these as live streams for the purpose of chatting or anything like that, but I never mind interacting, as you could just see with people in the chat. I always like doing that. So feel free to chime in if you want to. That's fine. But mainly I do these for the purposes of my own convenience. So don't feel bad if you miss out. It's okay. It's not that big a deal. Oh, hey, look, I still have Captain Marvel around over here, so we can have all kinds of cool 80s adventures with these characters. How about that? I'm sure Doctor Doom is skulking about somewhere. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. We will talk to you next time. Bye.